Hello, my name is LegoMan71 and welcome back to another episode of Modeling Mocs. Way back in April of this year, 2022, for those of you watching this from the distant future, I posted a video discussing the lore and thought process of my Toa version of Marvel's Daredevil. In the lore, I mentioned a whole team of Toa led by Daredevil, this team being the Defenders. I know Daredevil isn't technically the leader, especially in the comics, but his show was one of the best of the Defenders saga that I had seen. Anyway, today we meet another Toa part of the Toa Defendras, this being Toa Duran, Guardian of Cardanui, and Toa of Air and Iron. Got a little bit of a combo Toa for you guys today. I'll also be doing individual videos until I have completed all the Mocs for the main Defenders. When all four are complete, I plan on making a compilation video with the building and lore of these Mocs. Maybe try to squeeze some notes in there, but don't get your hopes up, because that's going to be a very long video just of how long I go into the story and lore of these characters. For those of you who like to listen to the stories I write for these Mocs, you're in luck. And if you don't much care for the lore, well then you better buckle up, Buttercup, because this is gonna be a long ride. I'll make sure to leave some timestamps in the description for the lore and notes segments. And with all that said, on to the video. Duran was a Lematoran of Cardanui. His village was attacked by the mutated creations of Makuta Mutran. Duran fled the destruction of his home. He wandered for weeks, avoiding Rahi and other Makuta, until he was found by a civilization of Iron Toa, masters of a long-forgotten element. For years, Duran was trained by the Fey Toa, and when the day came, he was faced with a great challenge. The Toa tasked Duran with retrieving a great mask of elemental energy from the cave of a Tatarok, a 40-foot-tall dragon-like beast that mysteriously guarded the mask. Armed with only a tiny dagger and a shield, Duran faced the dreaded beast. In the height of the battle, Duran was thrown towards the entrance of the cave. As the Tatarok was about to devour the Matoran, a flash of blinding light filled the cave. While the beast was distracted, Duran lunged his blade into its neck. The Tatarok thrashed in pain and fell to the ground. Duran grabbed the mask and ran out of the cave as fast as he could. As he exited the cave, it had seemed the whole universe received a burst of life. After he returned, he presented the mask to his trainer as requested. Using her mask of fusion, the Toa combined the elements of iron and air into the mask. The Iron Toa then branded Duran's chest with the sigil of a great Konohi dragon, a symbol showing great strength and courage in the heat of battle. Duran's new task was to take a Toa Stone, an item that transforms a Matoran into a mighty Toa hero, and travel to the ancient Toasuva temple on the island of Matanui. Several days into Duran's journey, the evil Makuta Pterodax successfully took control of the Matanui robot, thus taking over the entire Matoran universe. As time passed, Duran encountered a small group of Matoran fighting a group of Rakshi. He rushed in to help the group as the world crumbled around them. They fought bravely, but were eventually overrun by Makuta's forces. As they were overwhelmed, the great titan Artaka saved them and took them to his forge. He created new masks and armor, and was able to transform the four Matoran into mighty Toa Heroes. As a Lematoran, Duran was given the ability to control air, but his mask of fused elemental energy allows him, at a much smaller scale, control iron. He primarily focuses his iron energy into his fist, dealing devastating blows and being a valuable member of the newly found Toa Defendras. Now, as far as design notes go, I don't have really too much to say. Again, I'm going with a standard Anika build, which for me right now is kind of the easiest way to build Toa, especially for the time period of where this takes place in the Bionicle story, because in the lore I mentioned a great flash of light and how the whole universe seemed to be more lively. That was a reference to the end of the 2007 story with Toa sacrifice, giving up his life to revitalize the Mask of Life and save the Great Spirit Motunui. And basically every build after 2006 to Bionicle G1's end in 2010, untimely end, I might add, those were primarily Enika builds. It was basically just a copy and paste, just with various altercations in some cases. I use quite a bit of CCBS pieces or Hero Factory pieces. Now, seeing how Iron Fist is basically a Kung Fu ninja warrior, he's very athletic, very agile, so I use CCBS pieces or Hero Factory pieces because it has that great bit of articulation. And I found that the color scheme that I chose with various shades of green and orange really worked well, because when I tried it with yellow, and yes, I know Iron Fist has yellow on him, not orange, but it didn't really look right when it was yellow, so I just went with an orange, which I thought really worked out well, especially with the mask, which I had to separate into separate pieces in Blender and bring them back in to Studio, but I really think that works very well. Seeing how the grooves of the mask sort of looks like the cowl that Iron Fist wears in the comic books, and in the final pose I decided to go with, he has one fist raised and it's glowing. That's him channeling his iron energy into his fist. I do like what I did with the hands on this one. It may not exactly be original. There are literally hundreds of LEGO Mocs that take this sort of build style, but I really do enjoy it, especially after seeing how some of my custom hands may work out digitally, but being 3D printed I don't really think would work, so I'm just going to a more practical method of building. But yeah, I also did a custom decal on that chest with the Iron Fist symbol. It's supposed to be the Shaolao dragon, which Iron Fist had to kill to become the Iron Fist. And I sort of played that off in the lore that I made for this character. But instead of facing something like a Kanohi dragon, which is like gigantic, and it took literally hundreds of Toa to try to beat it, and he was just one Matoran at the time, I went with a much smaller species of Rahi Tatarok, which is like a dinosaur dragon thing with blades all over its head, so like a frill. But yeah, that's pretty much Toa Duran. And that about wraps it up for this mock. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm just going to make videos about these characters as I am finished with the lore and the design for them. They will come out soon. I really hope to be done with this by the end of this year and have a full compilation video. First two being already done, the Toa Duran, the Iron Fist Bionicle, and Daredevil, the Daredevil mock that I already made. All I have left to do is the Luke Cage Power Man Bionicle mock to do, and I'm just going to go ahead and give you a little bit of a spoiler. I made his design off my first experience with the character of Power Man, and that was the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, which is, oddly enough, also where I first encountered Iron Fist. So that's kind of what I'm mainly basing this off of. Anyway, we are very close to hitting 50 subscribers. When we hit 50 subscribers, I will make a video showcasing one of my original characters, an Autobot assassin known as Cobra. He is just one of my favorite characters that I have created, both in design-wise, and I really like how I'm writing his story. And I've had this idea for the character ever since I was like in high school, but now as I'm older I'm getting to be more inspired and seeing things and how I could work this into all my different characters' backstory, so I'm always rewriting and changing and retconning my backstories and lore for these characters. I've also been thinking about until I learn animation, which is my overall goal of designing these Mocs, so I could eventually have my own animation series with these Bionicles, with these Transformers, basically anything I want to do with them. But until then, I've been considering making small little comics with them, digitally and absolutely for free. Seeing how Marvel and Transformers are all copyrighted things, if they're free, to my understanding, it is fair use as long as I do not degrade the name of the franchise, do not degrade the name of the copyright owner, which is none my intent. If anything, all my work shows how much of a fan I am of these franchises and these characters. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a big thumbs up, and comment down below what other things you think I should turn into Bionicles, whether that be prehistoric creatures, more Marvel characters, or if you just want to see original content that I came up with. And with that, I end the transmission now.
Game over.